The MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys, unique metals for demanding applications, providing first-class performance and an international service.
Welcome to this week's MTDCNC podcast. I'm joined again by Geoff from PSL Datatrack. I'll introduce him briefly. Joe from Rigor, I'll introduce him briefly. And I think, Tom Skubala from MTDCNC, unsurprisingly. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We are going to learn all about, if you don't know about it already, PSL Datatrack, why you should have it to make you more money, which is what we want to do. Absolutely. Geoff, I'm not going to say your name. I'm not going to say your position because I always get it wrong, even though I've known you for numerous years. Who are you and what's your position in the company?
I'm Geoff Gartland, Managing Director of PSL Datatrack.
We've been practicing that all morning. Thank you very much, Geoff.
I've got it right, Colin.
Absolutely well done. And next to you, Joe, this is your first podcast?
Yeah, I haven't been here before. Yeah.
How you find it so far? Not too traumatic, I trust?
No, it's all right.
Good, yeah. Well, see at the end of the show, we'll see what he says. I'll ask him again. Joe, who are you? What are you? Where are you from?
That's
pressure straight away. I'll do it for you. Joe Jordan?
Yep.
And I'm guessing Rigor Precision Engineering?
Yeah. So, I've got a subcontract firm in Suffolk, subcontract machining, CNC milling, CNC turning.
And you're the MD or?
Yeah, MD. I'm machinist as well. It's only a small team, so.
No, just say MD. That's fine. That sounds
okay.
But as you said off camera, he's the everything man. Is that fair enough? Don't tell the wife though.
No.
All good. And last but least, I'm afraid to say, Tom Skubala. Go on. Very quick.
What do you want to know about me? I was hoping people
Who are you? What are you?
Now. So I'm Tom. I'm one of the technical presenters here at MTDCNC, and I was a machinist for 12 years before I did this. So I'm looking forward to finding out why I should have used a piece of software like this.
Right, so you'd not used it previously?
No.
Okay, there you go. So this is a good lesson for you and why you should have used it in your previous company. Anyway, and you're not an engineer anymore. I heard too many crashes. Is that correct?
No, too many perfectly tolerance finished parts.
Moving on very swiftly. And there's a lie detector at the back here. Anyway, moving on. Right, so, Joe, very briefly, small machine shop over in Sussex?
Suffolk.
So that's what I said, Suffolk. Yeah, whoops.
Yeah, we just moved to Brandon. We've got one CNC lathe, two CNC mills, a robot, nice little computer system, a couple of manual machines.
Okay, but it's all about sort of making your processes better. I mean, you've got the robots, so automation, things like that. So you wanted to improve your company, improve profitability, obviously.
Yeah.
PSL Datatrack.
Yeah, so what I found was it was okay at first when you start out doing stuff on spreadsheets and that kind of thing. But as we grew, as we were doing more and more work, and especially with repeat work, you just end up spending so much time stuck in the office, getting prices for like plating material that you've already had before when jobs repeat. So it was basically we ended up getting it to streamline the sort of office process. And the main benefit was with repeat work. It just makes it so much easier.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Very, very rough estimate as you were doing for your previous pricing. So that's a bit harsh, wasn't it? But what would it take now? What it would take before?
I don't know. I mean, you could be doing it full time. You could never come out of the office. If I don't know, we've had it for quite a few years, but there's no way I would want to go back to the way I did it before now. I wouldn't be able to cope. You wouldn't be able to do the same volume of work.
That's what we want to know, yeah. So you wouldn't be able to cope. I'm going to ask Tom, though, because you're a time-served, in all seriousness, you're a time-served engineer. You found out about PSL Datatrack since you've been with MTD, I'm assuming. You didn't know about it previously.
No, I didn't, yes. Me and Geoff have had quite a few conversations over the years. Yep. I always seem to find him at an open house there or here or there.
Sorry about that, Geoff.
I've tried avoiding impact.
See what I have to deal with, anyway. But yeah, with what we've talked about, and obviously I've been to your place. You were one of the first customers I ever visited when I joined MTD. And knowing them problems of trying to get prices for material, prices for plating, blacking, heat treatment. And the thing is, a lot of places will give you a price on that day and you'll look back and that price will be completely different to what you paid last time for the exact same thing. So if you've got a system you can look back and go, well, wait a minute, why are you charging me this when you charged me that last time? Oh, sorry. And you're going to save money in other areas by chance and by being able to look back at what you'd done before, because like I said, subcontractors will go, well, we'll just charge him whatever. Where you've got traceability on what you've paid before, and you can make sure you get charged the same every time.
We'll come back to traceability because that's another point we're going to cover off later on, because one of your favourite tasks now, it used to be one of your least favourite, it's now one of your favourite. We'll cover that in a little while. But Geoff, if people don't know about PSL Datatrack, give me a very high level.
So it's a production control system designed for subcontract precision engineers. Starts with quotation, runs all the way through to invoice, and it stops off all the way in terms of sales order processing, purchase order processing, scheduling, shop floor data collection, quality.
Don't go through every module.
I'll stop.
But how many
That's
modules?
the scope of it.
It is, just to clarify, it is modular rather than buying the whole
It is
system.
modular, so it's sized to suit what you need. 27 modules in total.
There you go. I always question that because you have added some over the years.
Contract review was the latest one that was added, and that really lifted the system up to another level in terms of for the larger subcontracts that needs to do detailed contract review and have real tight control, particularly for AS 9100, but also some of our ISO 9001 customers still want that same level of traceability for the review process.
Absolutely.
So important.
Yeah, but also one key point you mentioned there, engineering specific.
Engineering specific, design specifically for subcontract precision engineering, and that's where the flow of data comes from.
And you say the flow of data and engineering specific. I'm going to put you on the spot then. How's it work for you, Joe?
Yeah, great.
There you go. Nice and simple. Great.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
there's a lot of like little tools in it that I think perhaps if you had other software that was so tailored to a larger market, they wouldn't have the intricacies that deal with, the sort of things you need to take into account as a subcon firm or as a precision machine shop. It's got little features and stuff like that, and that sort of sets it apart from other software, I think.
Yeah. So engineering specific. So if you got, say, a repeat order and you knew prices are changing, how easy it's to get a new quote out to the client?
Well, it's so if your material, if you wanted to get a new material price, say they raised the order, for instance, you could just go into your purchasing module. You could raise the purchase order against a inquiry reference account, and then you can send that out to your material suppliers, and then they can give you updated prices on that. That's an easy way of doing it.
So nice and they'll give you the new price. It's straight in the system, and it works all the way through the whole system.
Yeah, so everything is tied together. That's the main benefit of it, I think, is your material that you used for that job is tied to that. So there's no being unsure about what material you used before, and that helps on the shop floor as well, because sometimes you get a job. If you've programmed a job already, it's a repeat job, and then you get given different material to make it with. It can turn what should be a really straightforward setup into just a pain. So it has all those kinds of effects, just it being well organised.
So really intuitive, and it'll work with you and adjust pricing and everything like that for you, and nice and sweet. Just press a couple of buttons and it's done.
Yeah. So say you're okay. So say another thing. Say you put your prices up on your machine rates because you hadn't.
Because you want a new car. New motorbike, in fact.
Maybe, or because you hadn't done a job for 3 years. Everyone knows about inflation. If you open your quotation, you just click edit, and then save it again. It will prompt you that those your work centres, they're called, have changed hourly rate, and that'll automatically regenerate your new price with your updated hourly rates. So it's very quick and easy to use.
So from your perspective, Geoff, what have you done in terms of making it intuitive for the customers and then flowing all the way through?
To be honest, it comes from years of experience of building the system in terms of feedback from customers like Joe. So we run a wish list system, and that's really where Joe touched on the intricacies. It's very hard to get across the depth of detail we've got in the system, because how do you explain that in the short period of time you have to put across what the system does? But it's got a lot of depth to it, and we have to thank our customers for giving us the feedback, the ideas that we've then turned into functions and features throughout the system. So it's a cycle really of feedback, new features, more feedback, more features, and so on, and it works really well.
There you go. So you're listening to your customers essentially and building that.
Essential. I mean, it's so valuable to have customers that give us feedback. Yeah. It's great.
But also, it's not just one off the shelf. It's you're developing all the time, but it's bespoke for each individual customer if required.
Yes, the system's highly configurable. So across all the modules, they've all got options we can turn on, turn off to tweak how they work for a particular customer. So just because one customer may have an idea that for them is great, we don't impose it on everyone else. It becomes an optional feature. Do you want to use it? Do you want it activated in your system and so on? So that's how we make it. Sometimes we describe it as it's to make it fit like a glove. It's to try to get it as close as we can to exactly how each customer needs that system to operate.
And have you had any bespoke stuff done, Joe, or just use the standard products at the moment?
I might have done, but I can't remember. But I know I put in a request recently, and occasionally we still do prototypes. Often with a prototype, say you've got a 3-off, and say it's quite a big billet of aluminium or something, say you're not always going to get that job right first time, and you'll need, say, like a setter billet. That's what I'd call it. You know, an extra billet that you set up on, you prove through on that. You check it. So we've requested to have the option in the quotation module for like an extra billet. So there's already stuff in it in terms of like wastage allowances and stuff like that. But so that's something we've requested, and hopefully that will, if enough people also want that will get implemented in the system in the update. But something like that is helpful because it allows you to you still want to have your material markup, but you almost know that you're going to scrap the first one, just proving it through. It's just the nature of how you approach jobs sometimes.
Absolutely. But you say there about doing prototype, a lot of prototype work. It's not so much prototype work now, is it? This has enabled you to do bigger batch runs and different types of projects. Yeah,
that's the sort of, when we took PSL on about 4 years ago is when we pivoted, because we started off doing complex prototypes. That's the stuff that bigger shops didn't seem to want to do. So that was sort of our foothold in the market. But then when it came to doing batch work, and namely repeat batch work, I think I said earlier, but like if someone sends you a repeat order, it's just so simple now because you haven't got to like dig through emails trying to find pricing for old material or plating costs. It's all there, saved against that original quotation. So when someone sends you an order for the same part again, you just raise your new works order against that, and all your information comes through. And you can raise your PO again straight away because you'll have, and it will save your preferred supplier for that material. Your subcontract processes will be tied into that. It just like raising a repeat order is honestly, it's a dream.
There you go.
So easy.
Great quote there. It's a dream. Getting a repeat order, it's a dream. Just raising it. So, has it made you more competitive, win more business?
Yeah, I think so. We're able to get quotes out a lot quicker.
That was a leading question, by the way.
We're able to get quotes out a lot quicker, especially if you've got, I don't know, say it's something like, you've got your supplier accounts on there, and say a part's going to come in, maybe you've only got a 10 off to do, and it's coming in at the minimum order charge for plating. So you already know that because you can put a note on your supplier accounts, and say you've got the material on the shelf, the material cost. I mean, you can quote something in like a matter of minutes.
Well, whereas before 2-3 hours.
Yeah, and you're waiting for people to get back to you as well. If you don't have that information stored, you've got to wait for you might have to wait 3 days to get plating costs back or something. Maybe not so much if it's a minimum order charge, but do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the same with material. It's more work you've got to do. You've got to send emails. You've got to then get the emails back, organise your emails, and it just gets rid of a lot of admin.
I can say, are you an admin person or an engineer?
I'm an engineer. That's what I'm good at. I'm a machinist. I don't want to I want to spend as little time in the office as possible and streamline that process as much. It's the same as you buy good cutting tools, you buy good work holding, you streamline that side of your business. You need to streamline the office as well, and this allows you to do that.
There you go. I mean, we're getting some great quotes here, so we're going to use not all of them, but a lot of those. Absolutely brilliant. Tom, your thoughts on this so far? I know you haven't used the software though, have you?
No.
Just clarify.
Well, I've done something people won't believe, and I've been quite quiet over here. That's
Blimey.
a first.
How was that?
I've been listening and thinking about this system, and thinking from a customer's point of view who's not used this software, who's not bought into this software yet. So my question to you, Geoff, and then to the same question is, how easy is it to transfer to this system? Because a lot of people who are still doing Excel spreadsheets, and there'll be hundreds and hundreds of people still out there who will have listened to what you guys have said and gone, gosh, we need something like this. We're losing money here. We've got people in the office all the time.
They're engineers. They won't use the word gosh, would they?
Well, all right. Sorry, that came from my Colin Griffiths vocabulary dictionary. But anyway, but one of the biggest problems is, and as you know, is machinists are always busy.
Yeah.
They're trying to find time to. It always comes back to the same quote. We've always done it this way, which I hate, by the way, because it always keeps people doing the same problems over again. So how easy is it to implement this system? And can you run this system offline at the side of your original system to get up to speed before you move over to it full time?
Well, what's important, I think to some extent, it's mindset and trust in terms of what the software does. So you can approach something in terms of how you make it work, or looking for reasons why it doesn't. It's a typical mindset that people have to go one way or the other. Once you adopt the approach of, right, I can see this is going to work, how do I make it work? The quotes, they go together the way that any subcontractor puts a quote together. I mean, Joe would need to verify that for me, but the quote has the process, set times, cycle times, you've got the hourly rates, you've got the material content, you've got material calculation of how much, you've got heat treatment or plating processes, whatever external treatments you've got, the cost goes in there. Those are your elements that go into the quote. That's what goes in our quote. The quote is where the system starts. So in terms of implementing, you can go live on quotes. The fastest we've had, or you can go live on quotes without implementing the rest of the system if you wish to. The fastest we've ever had, I'm going back some years now, we put a system into a fairly large subby, and there was a guy dedicated to doing quotes, and he was live the same day. So it was back in the days we did on-site training, and within a couple of hours he said, that's fine, it's better than what I do now. I'll just start using it. And he did. And that's a customer, probably not fair to name them, but you've been to visit them a number of times. And it's a large subby, but they then implemented the other modules afterwards.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think you do.
I think I've been there.
Just to
weather's nice down there sometimes.
It is, isn't it?
But no, it just works if you take that approach. So it's a tool.
So for
Use
somebody
it
who's at
properly.
home who's thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to spend 2, 3, 4 days a week trying to get onto this system. No, actually, I'm sure you can leave a machine running for a couple of hours to nip in the office, learn it. And like I said, if you can do it in a day or even 2 days, that's what that time you've lost in them 2 days, you're going to gain back very quickly from the time you're saving going in and out the office.
Certainly. And in terms of, Joe, when you took the system on, we transitioned, it was about COVID time, I think. Obviously, lots of things changed in terms of how you approach things. We started doing training via Zoom. And to be honest, it was a revelation, because trying to tie up, if we'd asked Joe for a day of your time without any distraction, he probably looked at us and thought, there's no way I can do that. I've got to have machines running. Whereas we transitioned to doing training in short segments. So we probably asked Joe for about an hour at a time. So we go through part of the system, then Joe could practice, find time, obviously, whilst machines are running, then come back and do another segment and so on. And that was how we got the training.
Is this the first time you actually met face to face?
Yeah.
It's the first time we've ever met, yeah.
So training all over Zoom, etc.
And after what Joe's been saying, that you can see it's worked.
Yeah.
Like I said, first time you've met face to face, but yet you've got full trust in the system. So the Zoom training must work.
Yeah, I think I had a demo or something to that effect first when I inquired about the product, and then, if you know what you're doing, you can tell if something's going to work or not, providing it does what what you're showing it's going to do, and it did. But yeah, even like now, if we have, because I think a couple of times we've added on modules. We started with it smaller, and then we've added on a couple of modules. It's just easy, because you sort of say you want to do it, and then you have training scheduled. So you might get like an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever one afternoon. And then you're up and running on the new module. It's easy to expand and get the training to do that. And I guess if you've got a trained staff to use it, that would work in exactly the same way.
Yeah, so this is exactly what we do. So we can either train one person, they can pass the training on, or we can train, a number of people directly. Depends on how our customer wants to work.
I think it's great that you do the training around the customer, because obviously you can say, oh, well, actually, next Thursday I've got a billet on that's going to run for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right, let's do it then.
Yeah.
Which means my machine's still running. I'm not worried about losing downtime, but yeah, I'm learning the new system as well.
To be honest, we get training sessions booked in that get cancelled last minute because there's an issue on the shop floor, there's machine breakdown, or there's a job that's not running as expected. So look, can we reschedule? Yeah, it's over Zoom. Yeah. So you're not committed in terms of you can't break away and do what you need to, which is keep the machines running, make parts and make money. You've got to be able to do that.
And that's essentially what everybody wants.
Yeah. Absolutely. Make it so more efficient, not using Excel anymore. Sorry, Excel spreadsheets. Make it a lot simpler to quote, earning you more money. Well, you've moved recently as well, so that's a good. Now, what I want to do though is, and this is, I think, every engineer's favourite task. If I said to you 9001.
I feel sick.
Oh, there you go. But what did the so your ISO accreditation? What did the auditor say when you were last audited?
So she's audited our system a couple of times, the PSL system, and we had our initial one, and then we had our first. I'm not sure what they're called, like your maintenance audit. After getting your certification, we had that last year, and she said it's one of the best systems she's seen in practice being used, because when they come and audit you, part of it is they'll pick out a job, either a job on the shop floor or a job that you've completed
and
recently.
Could be any random job that you've done.
Yeah, they literally pick some paperwork
pre-warning
out.
or anything like that.
No, and then you lay out in your business risk manual what your processes are and what you're going to do. So, like, for instance, we say that when we receive a quote, we send an order acknowledgement. We raise purchase orders for material against a works order, raise delivery notes, all that sort of stuff. So, which is normal, and I would think 90% of shops do. So, but when she comes to check that, so she'll pick a job up, a job card up, and then she sort of says, well, okay, show me the purchase order that you raised for this material. There's no like search.
So run into the filing cabinet, hours going through that.
No, there's none of that. There's none of that. There's no searching through emails. You just go, so you'd open up your works order, and then you'd go Control P, and that would jump to your purchasing module. And then that will also, it knows where you've come from. So it knows you've came from that works order. So then it will automatically jump to the purchase orders that were raised against that works order. So that'll, and then it'll give you like an option in like a drop down menu, which supplier. So if you pick your material supplier or whatever that it prompts you, that will take you to the purchase order that you raised for that material. So, and then from that, you could say, okay, well, show me you received it. And you can then go Control G.
You know all the control buttons.
Yeah, I love them, yeah. It'll let you jump straight into the goods received module. And then you can see what you received, when. That also tracks supplier performance, which is part of ISO. You've got to make sure you're tracking that your suppliers are up to scratch. And delivery performance is part of that. So
I'm getting the vibe here that you're actually making, and this is your fault, Geoff, you're actually making ISO audits a fun thing rather than a thing of dread. Is that fair enough?
It's a challenge you know you can win.
Okay. And also, are the auditors being put out of work? Because their audits sound like they're a lot quicker now.
we get audited pretty fast.
Excellent. So good for every engineer out there to hear, because that anywhere you go, say audits, ISO, and they're like, oh, awful.
Yes.
Not anymore. How do you feel about that, Geoff?
Oh, it's great to hear that feedback, and yeah, it's so rewarding to think that what we do does make a real difference. And it's
some happy ISO, some happy auditors out there as well.
Well, we see an increasing number of comments that come back about, it was auditors that recommended the system or said, you should take a look at this and so on. And it's a testament, I think, to
Tom, as a time-served engineer as well, audits, or you're not involved, or you're the ones who...
Not involved. Stay away from any of that. I was a machinist through and through. Leave me on a machine and I'm happy.
Very lucky.
Paperwork, no. I'll stay away as much as possible.
But if you had this system in place where you were previously...
Oh, I may have ventured into the office a little bit more than I did. But yeah, I always remember the paperwork was always a nightmare. Because it is, obviously, you've got jobs coming from different customers, you've got material coming from different suppliers, depending on what material you've got, all different processes for hardening. You're constantly dealing with so many different companies. So to just be able to streamline it straight through the system would be an absolute win instead of trying to ring them and then it was always fun ringing them to say, is that job done yet? Because I've got a customer chasing me for it. So to see that you can check how well your customers, your suppliers are doing just on the system is, yeah.
So as an engineer, if you had that system, the whole PSL Datatrack system.
It would definitely streamline a lot of processes to help us to help any company not have to sit in the office.
Or to let you be an engineer rather than
exactly. That's what every machinist wants. I'm like you, Joe. We just want to be sat making something.
Making stuff.
I don't want to be sat looking at a computer screen. I want to be making something.
There you go. Bringing joy to every engineer's life there.
In terms of what you said, Tom, about obviously you've got a range of customers and so on. It's not a production line.
No.
If you're in a subcontract engineering business, it's not just a simple to manage process. It's a complete mixed bag. And that's what you've got to contend with.
So if I'm doing a 1 off, a 10 off, a 50 off, a 1,000 off?
Well, the range of customers, different parts, different machines, different size runs, different treatments. It's not one process for a range of parts. It's multitude of processes.
There you go.
And that's your challenge, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's the mix.
Yeah.
That's what makes, I think, subcontract work so hard.
Yeah.
It's just the mix that you're dealing with constantly.
There you go. Gents, I'm wary that time is running on. We've done about streamlining the training, all the stuff that engineers don't want to be doing, and you're making it a lot simpler. So I'm going to get a quick summary from you, Tom. Going to put you on the spot.
Oh, if I'd had this system, I'd have been in the office a lot more than I ever was.
A lot less than you, a lot less, a lot more.
Well, no, I'd actually ventured into the office and not tried to hide away from it.
Fair enough. Jeff, quick summary from yourself.
I've got to say, well, thank you, Joe, for taking part. But thank you for your feedback as well. So extra quantities and quotes, you have got them now.
Yeah,
They are available. So we'll check your configuration. That can be activated if it's not ready now. We'll talk to you about that separately.
brilliant.
But that feedback is so valuable for us to put features in the system.
Absolutely. And that's part of what you do is getting that feedback as
It
well.
is.
So, Joe, final word from your good self. PSL Datatrack, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's enabled us to maintain a small team staff-wise and grow, which otherwise I wouldn't have been able to, because my time would have been, too heavily based in the office, and it wouldn't allow me to spend as much time doing the technical work on the machines, which is where my skills ultimately lie. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of small subcon shops.
There you go. That's it. Great summary there for you, Joe. So, gentlemen, Tom, thank you for joining us. Joe, Jeff, thank you for joining us. And all I'm going to say is PSL Datatrack bringing, if I can say that, bringing joy to engineers and auditors' lives, I'd say. Is that a fair summary?
Sounds good to me.
There you go. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. That's this week's MTDCNC, joined by Jeff, PSL Datatrack, Joe, Rigor Precision Engineering, and of course, myself, Colin Griffiths, and Tom Skubala from MTDCNC. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys, specialists in a wide range of exotic materials for any application for all your engineering needs.